Catherine and Dave here from Fantasy Fitnessing, and we are here to preview the Far East Throwdown. Just kind of going to look at the field, who's there, have they been to the games, all that kind of jazz, and then into some sort of fun things to watch, and Dave's picks for who's going to take those games tickets. So, starting off first, just to clarify, this is considering the field as it is on the CrossFit Games site. That does contain athletes that we know are not going, but it doesn't mean that those athletes shouldn't be sort of recognized for qualifying to that semifinal. So we have confirmed that Hazim Sharif and Denis Samsonov are both not going and will be competing at Last Chance Qualifiers, but we do have them for the consideration of the field as a whole because they're kind of some key athletes in this area. So looking at past games athletes, we've got 4 men and 4 women that have been to the games before. Looking past semifinal athletes, it's 12 men and 8 women. I think this is the lowest number of repeat semifinal athletes that we've had, which is kind of interesting that it's sort of not building that everyone's coming back each year. I think there are also some spots that weren't filled, so I don't think it's a full field either, so that kind of has to do with it too. It could be travel.
Yeah, they have to travel this year, so they didn't have to travel last year. It was all online, and obviously geographically it's not the smaller, shortest flight to get to, so that could be a part of it as well, as that travel considerations to get to South Korea this year.
Yeah, so it's interesting. So there's just 12 men and 8 women, but it's also more people coming up, more turnover, more experience at a live semifinal. So it'll be good. So top 5 athletes from the Open. On the men's side is Alexander Iln, Hazim Tarifi, Andrei Fedunov, Roman Krenikov, and Moritz Sedegat. On the women's side, Seer Kaya, Seguin Choi, Yuko Sakayama, Duan Young, Maria Astashova. So that's from the Open. And then looking at the quarterfinal, we're looking at their worldwide rank. So Hazim Tarifi, Denis Samsonov, Anthony Haynes, Alexander Iln, and Roman Krenikov. For the women, Seer Kaya, Seguin Choi, Duan Young, Racha Triwanasan, Jihad Barebs. So those are the people that have done the best so far this season on the first 2 competitions. And then now it's kind of just looking at the field as a whole. For the women's field, it is 10th. It's the weakest sort of complete field. And then when we narrow it down just to the advancing spots like games tickets and last chance qualifier spots, it climbs up to 9th. And then in terms of game spots, it's also 9th. So definitely another area that's sort of up and coming and still building their strength across the field and in that top end. For the men, the total field strength is 10th, advancing spots is 9th, and then game spots is 9th. But one thing is the game spots is 9th, but they're only like 5 sort of spots in terms of the worldwide rank behind strength and depth, I believe. Yeah, so strength and depth, their games ticket average spot is 30 and Far East is 35. So it is 9th, but it's well ahead. The fittest in Cape Town is 99. So it is 9th, but it's up in that sort of upper echelon when you do look at the game spot strength of this field. So that's kind of a little bit about who's there or could be there. Some definitely won't be, but yeah, that's a look at that field. And then on to Dave to what to watch and who are your picks for those tickets.
Yeah, I guess what to watch, we mentioned it before, and I think Snorri Baron has put it well on Instagram, so definitely check out his post just about kind of some of the restrictions that limited the men's field to being able to compete in South Korea. So, from a what to watch standpoint, really just going to look to see learn a little bit more about a lot of these athletes since, at least on the men's side, we had Stas Solodov, who isn't returning this year after qualifying for the games last year. And then, the third and fourth overall from quarterfinals also aren't going to be in attendance. So it is kind of a less competitive field, I'll say, that we would have liked. It would have been interesting to see, the battle between Hazem Tarif potentially making it into the top two with Ilin and Krenikov, given that he did beat Alexander Ilin in the worldwide ranking quarterfinals. So I think it would have been closer than we would have expected.
Those top five guys like Anthony Haynes, as well as the two that won't be there, and Krenikov and Ilm, like that'd make for some fun CrossFit to see those five guys taking points away and the race within them. That is definitely going to be missing things with two athletes not there.
Yeah, it'd be a lot more exciting if the final heat was 6 or 7 guys you think could take the win, or at least get in there to steal some points to make it a bit more competitive versus, a last heat that, might be 2 or 3 guys depending on what the actual event is. So it is unfortunate, but at least it gives other people an opportunity to step on the floor, which will only help kind of the development of CrossFit in the long run. So. On the women's side, we will see at least one new face at the CrossFit Games this year. Last year, the winner of the Asia Invitational, Svetlana Kubashenka, is not competing this year. I don't think she did the Open at all. So it will just be Choi who will be returning from the women's side. So again, we'll be interested to see some of these other women on the competition floor, since we didn't get to see anybody last year since it was all online. So at least to give us some opportunity to learn a bit more about the athletes in this region.
Yeah, it's great that it's going to be in person to actually see some of these athletes compete and see how they compete, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and I kind of liken it to Cape Town last year where, you knew the Jason Smith and Michelle Bassinet, but you didn't really know kind of the other field, like the Dina Swifts and the Ruin Duvenage that, you got to see last year if you were able to watch the live feed. So hopefully there is something coming out of this event that at least will showcase the athletes, give them a little bit more recognition. So for the women's podium, last year we saw Games rookie Seguin Choi make it to Madison. I think she'll make it back again this year, finishing top of the podium. She was 45th in quarterfinals, so good 70 spots over the nearest competitor from a worldwide rankings perspective. In second place, I got Sihir Kaya. So she was 116th worldwide in quarterfinals, but third overall from it, just when you limited it down to the Asia perspective. I just like to see her just a little bit more competitiveness compared to who finished, or Shahad Udebs, who finished second in Asia. So, but just kind of given the overall athleticism, I like Kaya a bit more. And then from a dark horse perspective, got Yuko Sakuyama. She finished 4th last year in the Asia Invitational, so she is one of the few returning semifinals from last year. And then she actually has some in-person competition that we have seen from a sanctional standpoint. So a couple of years ago, she finished 7th in Pandaland. So it'll be interesting to see. I don't know how much competition or in-person competition a lot of these athletes have, just because these competitions aren't broadcast widely as some of the other ones.
Especially because that was a couple of years ago too. And in the sanctionals, there was lots of athletes from out of the area that were going to those to try and get games tickets. So I'd say that 7th at Pandaland, kind of a good indicator of something she could be building to make a push.
And then on the men's side, I don't think there'll be any surprise this year. Got Roman Krenikov 1, Alexander Ilin 2. I think these guys, just with the field that'll be there, will definitely be in a league of their own. But it'll be interesting to see them battle back and forth. I think they are actually pretty good friends. They won the Butchers Classic pairs competition back in September together. So it'll be fun seeing them compete against each other in person. And then a dark horse, Mortiza Sedagat. He was 5th last year at semifinals with an event win, and then 18th at Last Chance Qualifier. So it shows that he can hold his own, both within kind of the Asian continent there, as well as kind of within that Last Chance field. So he was in the middle of the pack there. So potentially he's someone to watch for to finish kind of in that third position, maybe push those top two guys depending on how things go. So again, it'll be interesting to watch. It'll be fun to learn about these athletes and any excuse we have to watch CrossFit.
Pretty excited to watch this because with it being online last year, you just couldn't sort of get a read on a lot of things. Like when you compared it to Fittest in Cape Town, I loved watching Fittest in Cape Town. There were some fun races and definitely got to learn a bit about the athletes that were there. And same goes for this. I'm actually really excited to watch this play out. I'm super bummed some of the men won't be there, but it is what it is moving forward. I hope they put on a show at Last Chance because they don't get to be here. So yeah, that's that. So that's our preview for the Far East Throwdown. Our salary cap games are open. We also have draft games if you want to get some buddies together and run a draft league. Games will be run every week, sort of kicking off probably Saturday or Sunday of the week before. So as you're checking your scores for week 1, week 2 will get up there. So yeah, have some fun with it. There are affiliate leaderboards. So if you have your affiliate in your profile, you can kind of throw down in a different way with everybody that you work out with. And we will be sending Gooder sunglasses to the top 3 teams from the worldwide leaderboard for the salary cap game. So get on there and have some fun. It's all free to play. Just another way to engage with the season and get a bit more invested in the athletes that are competing. So yeah, there's that. Make sure you follow us on Instagram at Fantasy Fitnessing and set your lineups at fantasyfitnessing.com. And we will see you on the leaderboard.